kindly people of YouTube, Punk Rock Fairy Princess here. And I know this is like old news now, but like I just had to mention this. I mean, this is pretty big, right? Anyway, this made me think about how there's not a lot of like LGBT plus rep in kids shows and in kids media in general, and I felt like talking about it, so here we go. We've been slowly doing better with teen and adult programming. GLAAD, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, puts out a yearly report to kind of see how we're all doing with the like LGBT plus representation in TV shows. Link below if you're interested in reading it. In the latest report, they found that a record high of 8.8% of broadcast scripted regular characters are LGBT plus characters. For the first time, LGBT plus characters of color outnumber white LGBT plus characters on broadcast, and on all platforms, broadcast, cable, and streaming, there are significant increases of LGBT plus characters of color. Trans and bi plus characters, including bi plus men, have also gone up, which is great. I mean, there is a long way to go on this front, but we have slowly been making progress. However, in children's programming, there are virtually no LGBT plus characters. Growing up, I didn't watch any shows that had LGBT plus characters, and honestly, that affected how I saw the LGBT plus community for a very long time. Now, I know that now some kids shows are doing great things in this regard, like Steven Universe and Andy Mack, both of which I have not seen but really need to watch, and that's awesome. But it isn't a lot. These shows are only shown in some places and on some networks, and sometimes they're even censored in certain countries. For example, there was an episode of Steven Universe in which two same-gender characters had a romantic dance, and on the UK network they censored it to make it less romantic. The official statement of the UK branch of Cartoon Network said, "We do feel that the slightly edited version is more comfortable for the local kids and their parents. Be assured that as a channel and network, we celebrate diversity, evident across many of our shows and characters." Which is complete bullshit. Because first of all, you can't just cut out a part of a romantic scene between two characters of the same gender and then be like, but we're not homophobic, because that would be bad for publicity. And also because the same episode has a straight couple kissing and they didn't see the need to cut that part out. One of the main reasons that there are hardly any queer characters in kids' shows is that there's this idea that same-gender relationships are inherently dirtier and more sexual than straight ones. And there are so many double standards between straight relationships and queer relationships in regards to kids. It's fine to have a guy and a girl fall in love and even kiss at the end of the movie. I mean, heck, most Disney movies follow that structure. But when it's a queer relationship, there's a whole different set of standards. And I think just by having more queer characters that this will eventually stop being a thing. As for trans and non-binary characters, I think the main reason people usually give for not having them in kids media is that kids won't understand, which, again, is bullshit, because kids understand so much more. They're so much smarter than we give them credit for, and also kids aren't bigoted. They're not judgmental. They're not prejudiced. If there are kids who are transphobic or homophobic, it's because they were taught to be by their community, by their parents, by like the kids around them, by their teachers. Kids will accept people way faster than adults will because kids aren't as judgmental as adults. They eventually sometimes do become more judgmental, but it's not inherent. So now we get to Arthur. In the first episode of Arthur's 22nd season, that's 22nd season, Mr. Ratburn gets married to his special someone, as the title suggests, and became Arthur's first gay character. And I love it. Partly because I loved watching the show, like, growing up. I still sometimes watch this show, and it's a show that's popular and is aired on lots of networks. And what I especially loved, that it didn't seem super shoehorned or anything. It's perfectly believable that students don't know about their teacher's personal life. And I also loved how it wasn't made a big deal, combining the discovery with another misunderstanding Arthur and his friends had, that the lady they thought was Mr. Ratburn's fiancée was actually his sister, and they didn't really like her, so they were just like, ooh, we need to break them up. Combining that with it added to the storyline and allowed it to be more natural. And watching how the characters reacted was honestly heartwarming. They were just like, oh, So Mr. Ratburn's not marrying that lady we really don't like, and he's marrying this dude who seems really nice? That's cool. And that was it. It was just... I know it's not a lot, but it's important. My younger siblings watch this show, and representation is important for people's perspectives. Not only can it help affirm people who are in the LGBT plus community, which is obviously super important, but it also helps people become more accepting. And I know that's not just because it's a logical conclusion to make, but that's because that's what happened to me. For me, seeing LGBT plus people in TV shows not only helped me figure out who I am, but also helped me become less ignorant and, frankly, less homophobic. I grew up in a small town and went to like a Christian grade school, and due to the conservativeness of the community that I was raised in, I was homophobic and probably transphobic. I didn't quite know what trans meant until probably high school. One of the first LGBT plus characters I saw, no, the first LGBT plus character that I saw was Emily in Pretty Little Liars. Objectively, probably not, you know, stellar representation, but for me it was quite something. Because gay people were like this distant, almost abstract concept to me. And seeing Emily's character figure out who she was and struggle and wrestle with it and eventually come out to her parents, it was eye-opening for me. That these are real people. It's not just a thing that's, you know, it's in big cities. It's people. It's real people. And that's why representation is so important. Because if you see, like, the LGBT plus community as this distant entity, there's no empathy there. But if you see the LGBT plus community as people, there's more empathy, because they're people. I'm repeating myself way too much, but that's the core of it. Anyway, that's why I think there should be more LGBT plus representation in kids media. And that's a bit of an underwhelming ending for this video, but hopefully not an unpopular opinion. I got a bit more personal in this video than I originally intended, but I think that my story in regards to this topic is probably fairly common. Anyway, if you're interested in this topic, I highly recommend Rowan Ellis's video on it. She does great videos on LGBT plus issues and feminism and stuff, and she's great. I love her videos. Anyway, but yes, this was a shorter video, but I really wanted to talk about it because, you know, of the whole Mr. Ratburn thing, and yes, okay. Thank you for watching. I'll see y'all later. Bye!